Hello, everyone, and welcome to still another edition of the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC. I'm Mike Prisuta, along with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson. We are going through the players available for the upcoming draft at the end of April, position by position. We've got cornerback analysis for you today. And before we get into that, I want to remind everyone that you can catch these and any like programs on all of the Steelers social media platforms. But guys, a lot of receivers and therefore a lot of cornerbacks. Matt, is it really that simple? The college game is taking care of what the NFL game needs.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and these guys are testing extremely well, just like the receivers. There always seems like there's a wealth of corners coming into the league, but boy, they go quick and teams covet this position. And it's pretty obvious why. I mean, if you don't have three you trust, you're doomed, and you really should have four.
Yeah, I agree. And this year's group is interesting. A lot of big guys, bigger type cornerbacks in this year's draft. I mean, a lot of times you see, a lot of the 5'10", 190 type size guys. This year, a lot of guys who are 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", even deeper into the draft. And as we saw at the combine, guys, these guys can all run. I don't know if it was the track. They did replace the surface at Lucas Oil Stadium, but everybody was running in sub 4.5 this year.
Did they replace it with ice?
Right.
Were they on skates? Every position it seemed like that was something else at corner in particular. Dale's point really well stated. Not just fast, big and fast. Mm-hmm. And what's better than fast? Big and fast. So let's get into what's available. We'll go through our top five as we have been doing position by position. Dale, let's lead it off with you and Kaiir Elam of Florida.
Yeah, he's got some NFL bloodlines, good size. Didn't play quite as well last year as he had previously in his career. But again, 6'1", 191, and then ran a 4.39 40 at the combine. I mean, big and fast. What's not to like? I mean, so there's a lot here to like. He's a nephew of Matt Elam, who was a safety with the Ravens, was a former first-round draft pick. Elam's going to be a guy who's very intriguing, depending on where he goes.
Is he related to the former great actor Jack Elam?
I don't believe he is.
I don't know if you remember him. He was underrated, I thought. Anyway, Matt, you're number 5, Kaiir Gordon.
Yeah, I was torn between Elam and Gordon for number 5. Gordon was rumored to be just a total freak show in terms of testing. And he was fine. He wasn't amazing. But I heard some track nerds talking about it doesn't look like Gordon worked on his start at all. So he plays fast. Some of these guys,
track nerds would know.
Yeah, right. His start needs a lot of work. Like, okay, I believe you. Whatever. He's kind of the other corner at Washington. I'm sure we'll get to his teammate here at some point. He can play inside, outside. Solid build, good size, so there's a lot to like here. I do think he's very much a plus athlete and will make an impact early.
Now, I went for the freak show at number 5, and we're talking about big and fast. I give you Tariq Woolen, University of Texas at San Antonio, 6'4", 205 pounds, 4.26 in the 40. I am here to tell you, I have not seen this kid play a snap of football, but did I mention 6'4", 205 pounds, 4.26. He's a former wide receiver. Teach him how to play corner. He's 6'4", 205 pounds. I don't know if you guys heard this or not. He runs a 4.26 40.
I knew he was going to be fast, Mike, because they had those mile-per-hour trackers on those guys at the Senior Bowl, and he ran like 23 miles an hour.
22.45.
Yeah,
so who's counting?
But who's counting? And so, I mean, that kind of, then you start watching him a little bit, and you go like, oh, okay, there's some traits there. You do worry about when you get that big. I mean, that's just extreme size. You worry about some of the change of directions and stuff, but I don't know if anybody's going to outrun him down the sideline and then be able to catch the ball over top of him because of that length.
Yeah. For number 4, we all took Andrew Booth of Clemson. Matt, we'll let you speak for the group here since we're unanimous. But I really like this kid's physicality, among other things.
Yeah, 100%. And because the school he's at, he wasn't a 3-year starter or whatever. He kind of took over this year, and it's somewhat of a work in progress. But he is a piece of clay that is very moldable. I mean, he's 6 foot. He's almost 200 pounds, very long. He's fine in zone, but he's the type of guy you want in press man, as in press man coverage, which is what every team's after right now. I think a defensive back coach would just love to get a hold of Booth. And
follow this under great minds think alike. We're also unanimous in our number 3 cornerback prospect. That would be the aforementioned Trent McDuffie from Washington. Dale, how did Washington lose a game this year? Pretty good secondary.
Apparently, people could run all over him, Mike. That's because the cornerbacks are both like they'll be gone by the middle of the second round. Both of them, so I would assume it was difficult to throw the football on them. McDuffie's a 3-year starter at Washington. Ran a 4.44 40 at the combine, so you got you've got everything that you want there. He allowed 16 receptions in 11 games this past season. Wow. 16 in 11 games. I mean, it's just nobody threw at him, and when they did, they had a tough time completing it. And that was with 2 NFL cornerbacks on the field. So lots of light there. He's not quite as big as the other guys. He's 5'11", 193, but that's more than big enough.
Yeah. Real quick on McDuffie, he's a nasty guy, man. I mean, he kind of has some of that Mike Hilton edge to him, but bigger and more athletic. They blitz him out of the slot a lot. I mean, he's a very aggressive tackler. I mean, he brings a little nastiness to him.
Yeah, and he's like Mike Hilton, smart enough that you can move him around, and he'll make.
Well, he could definitely play the slot, right away.
Yeah. Little side note, since we just mentioned 2 Washington guys, at least Matt did. Husky Stadium, outstanding place to catch a college football game. I actually saw the Steelers play out there when they were repairing the Kingdome in the 90s. But what an environment for college football! Not only do you get to see great corners, but it's right on the water and
Mount Rainier in the distance.
If you're the kind of person that likes to travel around and see different things, check that out. Anyway, I digress. Number 2, we're all in agreement on 2 and 1, but I've got it in a little bit of a different order than you guys do. I took Gardner from Cincinnati as my number 2. Matt and Dale have decided that Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU is the number 2 prospect available. I don't dislike Gardner. I just like Stingley better. Matt, why did Stingley come up 2 on your list?
Yeah, I think Stingley has a chance to be the best corner in the league. I mean, and clearly the best corner in this class. And I probably dinged him a little because he's been out of sight, out of mind a little. I mean, he may go to LSU's pro day and just be unbelievable. And they had issues at LSU this past year, but he really hasn't been a phenomenal player with phenomenal tape since him and Joe Burrow were winning national championships, which was a couple of years ago when he was just an utterly dominant 19-year-old player. I think you're kind of splitting hairs, but it's just Gardner's done more good stuff recently.
You mentioned the LSU days, and during the combine, they threw up some tape from LSU practices back in the day, and it was Stingley against Jamar Chase, and Stingley was more than holding his own. Yeah, and I saw that, and I said, you know what? I don't care what the last 2 years. If he gets over to Liz Frank surgery and everything checks out on pro day, that's my guy. Because Jamar Chase has gone on to be a pretty good receiver in the NFL, and Stingley was covering him 3 years ago.
Real quick on Stingley, I apologize, but he has some of that Dion Revis arrogance / baiting quarterbacks. Maybe I don't love tackling so much, but those rare corners that just know they're great.
Yeah, and you look at him. I mean, he doesn't turn 21 until June, so you're still getting a 20-year-old player who's not a ton of experience there, but the experience that he had again in 2019, he was their best guy, maybe in their whole defense that season. He just hasn't shown to be that guy the last 2 seasons, largely because of the Liz Frank injury last year.
Yeah, it's not an insignificant track that he's been on, but You get that guy right, and you're not going to find a better one. Dale, let's stick with you to wrap it up and talk about Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. By the way, in our write-up, I refuse to call him Sauce. You can't have a nickname till you get in the league.
Yeah, you can if your Pee Wee coach gave it to you, which is what happened with Sauce Gardner. I mean, so it's not like this isn't a situation where he gave himself the nickname. This is not Jackrabbit Jenkins. You know, you've been in the league for 25 years, and then all of a sudden you change your name to Jackrabbit. This is he's a good football player. 6'3", 190. Just everything that you want in terms of size. 9 career interceptions in 33 games. 6.6 yards a catch last season. Never allowed a touch in 1,059 snaps in college coverage. Did not allow a touchdown. Let that sink in. In his entire college career, he did not allow a touchdown. I don't care if he's playing our Sisters of the Poor. This guy's really good.
He is. And to your point there, Dale, I mean, didn't have the greatest level of competition, but it became pretty clear that every opponent that Cincinnati faced said, why on earth would I throw at him? And they threw at another guy that's going to get drafted, Kobe Bryant, who's spelled a little different but named after the basketball star. And that wasn't necessarily a smart move either, but that's how much they feared Gardner.
Yeah, Bryant won the Jim Thorpe Award as the top defensive back, but I think Gardner is the guy who's going to go first among those two, and maybe amongst all the cornerbacks. We shall see. That's going to do it for our analysis of the cornerback position. I want to remind everybody that you can catch all of these types of programs on all of the Steelers' social media platforms. Thank you for finding us this time, however, and wherever you found us. We're going to do it again real soon. Until then, for Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley, I'm Mike Prisuta. This has been the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC.